Hey real estate nerds, this is Alex Fiodor with Pro Tip Tuesday, my favorite day of the week. And today I want to talk about housing references, and specifically I want to talk about why our company stopped getting housing references. So number one, we've seen a growing trend in the industry where if we get a housing reference back from somebody where it's a legitimate housing reference, a lot of times they will not say if they would re-rent to that person. They'll just put in the questionnaire if they qualify. They stop getting away from being specific about really much that gives you much value in that actual reference, because anything that may prohibit that person from renting you could potentially come back to them or come back on them as a liability if that tenant finds out why they were declined for the place that they applied for with you. So a lot of, specifically these apartment complexes give practically worthless housing references. The other thing is that there's really a growing trend too of people knowing the process and knowing that if they're going to get a bad reference, they will just be dishonest about where they were living. Like, oh yeah, I was living with my mom for the last year, or whatever it may be. Or sometimes we've even had cases where they'll give us, I was renting from an individual landlord, they'll give us a name and number, and then they'll have a friend or whatever pretend to be that person. That does happen. Lots of fraud in the housing references world. And then beyond that, it does hold up that application process. If I have several applications that I want to run right away so I can pick the best qualified person, I don't want to be sitting around waiting for 2, 3, 4, 5 days for this housing reference to come in while I'm trying to get somebody approved, trying to get a property off the market, in a housing reference that will take several days that really probably isn't going to be much of a value to me anyway. What kind of broke the camel's back, the straw here for us as a company, is I actually we had a property where the tenant that applied with us had previously rented from a friend of mine in the industry in our market. And that friend was like, look, I don't want to put the information that would get this person declined on the actual reference in writing, but I'm just calling you to let you know that they are horrible tenants and they were a nightmare to deal with. Now think about it from my standpoint. In my standpoint, if I now then go take that reference and decline the person, I have nothing solid supporting why I declined them. So if I get some kind of a complaint, a fair housing issue, whatever, and we're audited, I don't have anything solid because that person didn't want to make it solid because they didn't want to be liable. They're willing to pick up the phone and have a phone call and make a friendly phone call, but now I can't say, here's the piece of paper I got from their ex-landlord that justifies the disqualification for this property if there was some kind of an escalated issue. So it kind of came to the point to where it was a huge waste of time for very little value because of, again, the dishonesty or the lack of information from the people that are actually giving us the references, and the holdup, as I have very qualified people who have in many cases applied for 3, 4, 5 properties. And if I don't approve them fairly quickly, I'm going to miss out on those very well qualified people. So they're just kind of came to this final answer. Okay, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to lean more heavily into credit. We're going to lean more heavily into income, and we're going to change a little bit of our criteria, requiring double deposits at those lower thresholds with our screening process. So that's our mindset, and that's kind of why we came to that decision. And I thought I'd just pass that along because it may get you thinking as landlords in how you qualify people and how you want to roll forward with your policies. That's all for today. We'll see you next week.